Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, everything in between. My name is Jay, and I am the host of the internet's favorite news show, This Week in the News, a show where I go over every single important news story that you need to know about that happened in the last week. And from a new COVID like virus to TikTok getting unbanned and Trump coming back to office, we've got a lot of shit to go over, so we might as well just get into it. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, you don't need to do a double take. A new COVID like virus has emerged in Beijing in January, and Trump is president. And the year started off with some insane wildfires in an English speaking country. Okay, that one was a bit of a reach, but still, it's kind of like 2020 all over again. I mean, get the Tiger King back out of prison and my parents back together, and we might as well just be back into lockdown. But okay, on a less bleak note, actually, no, on that same note, that a COVID like virus has broken out a bit all over the world. And while there are a lot of cases, it's nothing unnatural for a respiratory virus during the winter. That's right. You've been clickbaited, you've been pranked. Yeah, while this virus has spread a lot, and has got some people stressing and wearing masks like I've seen in public, I doubt anything like COVID will come of it. A virus like this seems to pop up every year. Like I remember monkeypox last year. I guess it's just that like post-COVID trauma where like any virus that kind of spreads a lot is just the new COVID and we're gonna go into lockdown again. It's some crazy paranoia. And although I do miss lockdown, I really cannot deal with a new confinement thing this year. I've got exams to worry about, and a new lockdown wouldn't help that shit out at all. I'll tell you what, this school year is moving pretty quick. Exams, they just keep coming, and I'll tell you what else is moving pretty quick. TikTok's banning and unbanning. Yeah, so basically after a day of going dark in the US, which is probably more than the average TikToker can handle, to be fair, Trump has essentially extended how long TikTok can be up, saying it would have no legal repercussions. And when I say how long it can be up, that is like until it's bought by an American, because it still needs to be sold to an American company by the Chinese company that owns TikTok. And there's no telling whether or not he can actually do this whole no legal repercussions thing. So only time will tell if Apple and Android will face any consequences for allowing TikTok to be available on their app stores, and whether or not TikTok itself can operate like this due to having a ban being put into effect on January 19th. Mr. Beast has actually made his plans pretty clear on his decision, saying he will be making an offer to buy TikTok. And on January 20th of 2025, one of the biggest things that's happened this week, Donald Trump was re-inaugurated as President of the United States. He's made a triumphant return to the White House. The event's highlights include an awkward moment shared between the president and his wife, Melania, sharing an awkward kiss. Why was it awkward? Well, the returning First Lady decided to wear this horned crow looking ass hat, which made it extremely hard to get near her face. I have no idea why she rocked up to the re inauguration of her husband looking like The Undertaker, but I'm not gonna lie, I kinda respect it. There was also speculation on why Trump didn't put his hand on the presented Bible, which is customary and previously unseen at former inaugurations of US presidents. But apart from that, notable guests were Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Sundar Pichai, chief executive of Google, Tim Cook of Apple, and also former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Don't know why he was there, but good on him, I guess. Other influencers like Jake Paul and Joe Rogan also attended the inauguration, which had to be held inside due to weather conditions. He was also greeted by our favorite mumble rapper Joe Biden, greeting him with the words, "Welcome home." Former US President Barack Obama was seen attending the inauguration, but there was a noticeable absence of his wife, Michael Obama. And finally, Trump finished off his inauguration with a triumphant speech, the longest inaugural address in modern US history, lasting 29 minutes and 48 seconds, which is longer than I last, to be fair. Elon Musk has also come under scrutiny for making a seemingly fascist gesture while thanking Trump supporters at a Trump rally. Now, personally, I think that saying Musk is a fascist is a bit of a reach, but the choice of the movement is quite idiotic, in my opinion. And one of Donald Trump's first acts as US president, aside from renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, he has also decided to pardon Ross Ulbricht, founder of the Silk Road. And no, this isn't proof that Trump can do anything and travel back in time to arrest the creator of the Silk Road. But for those who don't know, the Silk Road was a dark web marketplace that facilitated the sale of all kinds of illicit contraband. It was shut down in 2013, and Ulbricht himself was sentenced to life in prison in 2015. His trial showed that over $200 million of illicit contraband had been trafficked thanks to his website. This trial also showed that he was a dangerous individual, showing proof that he had ordered 6 hits on other people. Trump has said the scum that worked to convict him was some of the same lunatics that were involved in the modern day weaponizing of the government against me. He said this on his social media site Truth Social. Whereas Trump's crimes are quite bad, comparing himself to this absolutely terrible person and calling the people who want to arrest him scum seems absolutely outrageous to me. This man's main talking points is how immigration badly impacts the US. And one of these bad aspects are the illegal drug cartels that have happened thanks to weakened borders and whatnot. Whereas cartel leaders do bring drugs and crime into the US, do you not see how the same thing would apply, the same logic would apply to the person who literally invented one of the biggest dark web marketplaces? It just baffles me. Like, what is the logic here? That's a stupid question. He's white. Yeah, and some wacko's logic is that the case of Ross Ulbricht is a clear example of government overreach because they investigated someone who is facilitating the distribution. How is this government overreach? This is just a completely reasonable investigation. Anyway, the same people are saying that there were chips in the COVID vaccine, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. It just seems so crazy to me that this has flown under the radar. Like, I don't see many people talking about it, but it's really unreal to me. After 6 weeks, South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol has finally been arrested after having declared martial law and surrounding the National Assembly with military troops. Probably due to the fact that the Korean government is a majoritarily opposition dominated parliament. After having his powers impeached, Korean law enforcement deployed over 3,200 officers to execute his arrest warrant. He's being investigated by the Corruptions Investigations Office for attempting a rebellion. Yeol has denied this, stating that his declaration of martial law was a legitimate attempt at governance. And to me, that sounds like a load of bullshit. He was just very paranoid in his position as the leader of the state, with everyone in the parliament, or a majority of the parliament, being the opposition. And he's clearly not very good at declaring martial law. I guess you could say he's not played these games before. He's not. Now for some popular media news. The Oscar nominees list has been dropped, and a lot of people are unhappy with the amount of praise that the film Emilia Perez is getting this year. It's actually been back to do quite well at the Oscars, doing quite well with critics, but terribly with the audience. And people are not happy with this film, with the characters being badly written, and despite it trying to hit a target audience of transsexual individuals and Mexican people, it seems to have missed the mark with both. It's a musical, and from what I've heard, the actors don't speak Spanish well, and on top of that, the music is terrible, which is not a very good sign if you're doing a musical. I know you're only getting the most controversial opinions on This Week in the News, but it wouldn't be the only bad musical this year. And that's the main thing that people are mad about with this year's Academy Awards. But I feel like these Academy Awards slash these journalism awards, whether it be like the Ballon d'Or, which for my American audience is like the best football player. I don't have a fucking audience. What the fuck am I talking about? They've really started to lose credibility. And these movies that seem to pander to minority audiences and miss the mark with that target demographic, but still win awards anyway, because these award ceremonies are ran by privileged white people filled with white guilt. It seems to be a common theme, and to be honest, I'd stop being mad about it at this point. It seems like a waste of time. And for our last story, President Trump and his wife Melania Trump have both made crypto shitcoins. There isn't much to it, with Trump himself not seeming to know much about the coin himself, but it's a story we've heard a million times before. A classic pump and dump scheme, this one just being a little more high profile than the other ones. As I said, there's nothing special about it, just more content for CoffeeZilla, I guess. Anyway, that'll be it for me. Of course, stay tuned for next week. Like and subscribe. It really does help a small guy like me. Let me know what other content you'd like to see. And of course, never miss a story by coming back next week. And with that being said, good night.